I'd never heard the tarantella before. It was often cut, as was the coda of the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. And what remains of the score is presented out of sequence, so to hear it straight through as an orchestral performance was eye-opening. I was hooked. My first experience of the music as a dancer, on the other hand, had been humiliating. At 16 or so, as a student with First Chamber, I'd toured the rest homes of Seattle with a 9-person version of the suite. Our version of the Chinese dance was an exact rip-off of Fantasia, so we were mushrooms, our costumes a dome-like phallus, a heavy umbrella. We squatted, then stood up and opened. Traumatic. In 1892, in St. Petersburg, the Mariinsky premiered Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker on a double bill with Iolanta, a one-act lyric opera of his that was then lost for years. The miracle was that they share precisely the same orchestration, except for a newly minted instrument, the celesta, first unveiled in this production specifically for the Sugar Plum Fairy's dance. It was, as you can imagine, a lengthy evening. Ironically, it was Iolanta that was the big hit, whereas the Nutcracker disappeared for years without a trace. The first American production was William Christensen's for the San Francisco Ballet in 1944. We don't know whether it was good or not, though it was well reviewed, and it was because of this production that the Nutcracker became a comparatively recent Christmas tradition. The production now known as the original Nutcracker is later. Balanchines from the late 50s, the first full version I saw, very good if a little dull. People take that as the Bible, the one against which all others are judged, without necessarily realizing that it is itself a weird hybrid, including an interpolation from Sleeping Beauty in the score that doesn't belong at all. I therefore decided that I'd use the full original score without a single note missing at Tchaikovsky's original metronome markings. In Brussels, they'd give it the fullest attention. I wanted my version of the Nutcracker to be interesting, fun, beautiful, scary, and sexy. But above all, I just wanted it to make sense. In most Nutcrackers, Act 1 is boring, a Christmas party, and Act 2 is confusing, and then it's over. The general reaction beyond, oh, we saw some pretty ballerinas, is incomprehension. Why is it over? What just happened? In fact, what does the audience even see? To start with, they're not seeing E.T.A. Hoffmann's original 1816 story, The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. They're seeing a libretto based on Dumas' greatly sanitized bastardization of 1844, The Story of a Nutcracker. In Tchaikovsky's ballet, Act 1 is generally set in an upper-class drawing room in the late 19th century in Düsseldorf, Deutschland, or some fictional Mitteleuropa. There's a Christmas Eve party peopled by dull adults who scold and swat their fake naughty children. The centerpiece is the arrival of Drosselmeyer, a crazy magician relative who brings presents, a drum for little Fritz, a nutcracker doll for Clara, who apparently loves nuts, and delights the kids with cheap magic shop props, including a wind-up doll. The naughty boys gang up on the adorable girls, and the Nutcracker is broken. The guests yawn simultaneously, and it's bedtime. Clara can't sleep and comes downstairs. She's miniaturized, the tree becomes enormous, the Nutcracker turns into a soldier, but still a toy, and there's a big fight between the mice who live there anyway and the toy soldiers who are gifts under the tree. The Nutcracker murders the Mouse King, Clara faints, and the soldier becomes the prince, a human being. It makes absolutely no sense, and that's when there's a big pas de deux between a snow lady and a snow gentleman, and curtain. For Act 2, we're magically in Candyland, or Konfiturenburg, where there is much excitement about the arrival of the little boy prince and Clara. The Sugar Plum Fairy, self-appointed hostess of the Kingdom of Sweets, welcomes them, and the prince mimes a précis of Act 1 for those who can't remember or don't understand what happened before the intermission. Then they